cool story time. I made a list recently of my favorite hip-hop albums of the decade. One of them is always going to be this album right here, Ajay by Kenny Segal and Serengeti. It's locked in. It's always going to be one of my favorite albums of the 2020s. It's fantastic. So this is my favorite hip-hop concept album of the 2020s. Kenny Segal is the producer. Serengeti, I am a fan of Kenny Segal and his production. That led me to this. I was like, whoa, this guy's amazing, incredible concept album. It's about an Indian man who lives in America who is obsessed with high fashion and hypebeast culture to the point where it's the only thing that this guy can talk about. And he has a wife, and that's all he can talk about to his wife, and it drives her nuts, and she's like about to divorce him. That's the story of the first half of the album, and then at a certain point it switches to a different character named Kenny, who is a recurring character in Serengeti's music. But what you get is a really cool character study of this Ajay guy. Like, it's very human and personable, and you can just put yourself in this guy's shoes in a way. It's very specific, but it's very real. And Serengeti is a magician on this thing, so I highly recommend it and all that, blah blah blah. I made some videos about it, right? I made a video calling this album my favorite hip-hop concept album of the decade, and then I got this guy on Instagram liking my post, and his Instagram name is spelled AJAYD. I'm like, okay, a Jade? Who's that? They reposted my video on their story, just this random person followed me out of the blue, liked this post of mine, shared it on their story, and I said, hey, thanks for the shout out. Were you involved in the making of the album or something? Because Kenny Segal was following him. That was my other clue that something interesting was happening. So I was like, were you involved in the making of the album? Like, how do you know Kenny Segal? I didn't ask that, but he goes, not exactly, mostly in spirit. I'm a longtime Serengeti fan and befriended him over the years, and what eventually started out as an inside joke about me annoying my wife about hypebeast culture evolved into the Ajay record. He goes, my name is Ajay, but the genius of it all belongs to Dave, which is Serengeti's real name. He goes, I have no idea how he made it the way he did, and as years go by, I run into people who truly get it and see the heart of the record, and that means the world to me. So when I came across your clip, I had a huge smile. Had to shout you out. Thanks for listening. I'm like, bro, it's Ajay. I met Ajay. Ajay found my video. The real life Ajay. Now, I have been rocking with this album for 6 years, just thinking that Serengeti made this guy up in his imagination. Turns out he's a real freaking person. Like, can you understand my disbelief and my excitement about this? And I didn't open that message for like 3 days because I'm horrible with opening messages, texting and stuff. I get a lot of anxiety about it. But I go, hey, I just got around to opening messages, and holy hell, this is so cool. I never imagined Ajay was based on a real person. It's the record that introduced me to Serengeti because I had just become a fan of Kenny Segal around 2019. Do you mind if I tell the story on stream? Like, I had to get his permission, but I'm going to continue with his response here because he goes into the fucking backstory of Ajay. Like, this is one of the coolest things that have happened in a minute since like the Almighty M80 interview. It's like meeting Spider-Man or some shit. He goes, Ajay as your entryway into Serengeti is pretty wild. And side note here, I do understand why he's saying that because after I found Ajay, you know, that was 6 years ago, so I've had a long time to dive into Serengeti's back catalog and his discography, and he has an insane amount of music, and he's been working for the last 20 years, as Ajay explains here. He's one of the few rappers with a 20-plus year career that's still managing to make new fans off new records, but yeah, no problem sharing. I prefer keeping everything kayfabe, professional wrestling practice, and maintaining a staged fictional performance as legitimate reality, treating storylines, rivalries, and character personalities as authentic to the audience. But in this case, the origin story is worth mentioning because it's almost as funny as the record, right? So he prefers keeping everything under wraps to not break the immersion of the character. But in this case, the origin story is worth mentioning because it's almost as funny as the record. He goes, Dave, Serengeti's real name, Dave and I went to Complex Con back in 2019. He wasn't that familiar with streetwear culture and it tripped him out seeing everyone. T-shirts going for a couple racks, so it just became an inside joke between us. Not in a making fun of the culture kind of way, but more captivated by the strange lengths people would go to find or express themselves, and all that comes with that. Oh, and we saw West Side Gun there, and at that time both of us were listening to Griselda a lot, so he found the idea of me forcing my doctor wife to listen to Hitler Wears Hermes while wearing a Balenciaga balaclava while being a 40-year-old Indian dad was hilarious. Dude, that's the story. Chef's kiss. It was hilarious, Serengeti. And it is, and I do love my wife and my coat, but somehow Dave fleshed a whole universe out of that little joke, and he freestyled most of it over a bunch of beats Segal sent him, and one day, out of the blue, he sent me this one 13-minute track. It was basically the first half of Ajay. Then he felt inspired to do the Kenny side, put it out during COVID, but somehow Virgil Abloh heard it and gave it love. Even sent Dave some custom Ajay shoes, which is something that Serengeti raps about across the record. Getting some custom Virgils, some Ablohs. He goes, small world, thanks for checking for it, peace. I never knew. Because, like I said, Virgil Abloh is a piece of the record. Like, Abloh is talked about across the record as part of this hype beast obsession that the main character has in the story. And so, the fact that fucking Virgil Abloh saw it, gave Serengeti love before he passed away, literally that same year. In the year that Virgil Abloh died, he was giving Serengeti his props for this record. I had no clue. Virgil sent Serengeti custom Ajay shoes. That has got to be Serengeti's most prized possession. It's gotta be. If it's not that, I don't know what could top that. I go, I'm crying, yo. This story is incredible. The Virgil connection is so special. I can't believe it reached him before he passed. I died to see a picture of the custom Ajay shoes. Quote, I got Abloh Diodora. That's one of the bars on the record. This record already felt so real and so human and so interesting, and finding all these details out about it is bringing it to life kind of unlike any other album I've ever consumed. Wow. Just so I'm clear, am I picking up that you prefer I don't share the story on stream? And he goes, yeah, you can share it. I feel Dave has spoken on it. Glad you got a kick out of it all. Glad that anyone has tapped into what Serengeti has been doing. True one of one artist and a great dude. His catalog is just wild. Also wild. Here's the pictures, y'all. There's a full story in here. Ajay, Air, posted by Virgil. This is Virgil's words. There's a full story in here, right? Here they are. Virgil on the Nike Airs. And here's Virgil's post about it. How did I not ever see this? I don't believe I ever saw this. I don't think I did. But this should still be up on Virgil's Instagram, unless it got deleted for whatever reason. But Virgil said, posted a picture of the album cover, says, I'm positive everyone is listening to more music than ever right now. This album right here blew my mind. The genre of a concept album might be amongst the hardest to nail, and Serengeti and Kenny Segal with Ajay made a Netflix level album around the narrative of ordering off-white Nike sneakers that end up getting delivered to the wrong address, amongst other vivid tales. This is what I've been trying to say about this album, and now I'm getting confirmation from one of the greatest artists of our time. Rest in peace. Altogether fire, worthy of getting added to the library. Upon first listen, I DM'd him for his address and shoe size. The rest is history. Like, I'm not kidding. When I found all this out a couple weeks ago, like last week, I was in disbelief. I go, I can't believe I've never seen this. Thank you for sharing. And so since then, shout out Ajay. He's keeping tabs on Quarter Day Recordings, y'all. At least on the Instagram page. Super cool. We're rocking and rolling out here. We're meeting the real life Ajay, the greatest hip hop concept album of the 2020s, confirmed by Virgil Abloh. I mean, how much cooler can we get around here? I'll tell you how. I get a haircut. I get a haircut tomorrow. We got some updating to do around here, folks, but we're having a good time doing it.